public appearances, or?
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
You're on.
Yeah.
I'm on, huh?
Yeah.
I have a question. I was told that the paramedics cannot receive gifts. Okay, my next question is Matt Mickelson and Elliot Belden both married?
Yes.
Yep.
Here's something for their wives. I also have something. I know you people are in need of money, and you're thinking about buying some kind of compression thing for the.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have an objection to that. I think you should talk to the Madison Fire Department first. Because I talked to some of them guys down there, and they said they don't think that's the best thing you can use. I'm not a paramedic. I don't know a damn thing about it. I'm not a doctor. I'm a dumb bus driver.
Jerry should know.
Here's something. I don't know who runs it. Are you running this? You running this? There's something you can open and read. And that's about all I got to say. And I'll sit here and let you look at it. You can pass it around if you want
Me
to.
to open and read it?
Go ahead, yeah.
Yep.
Keep any foul language.
All right. Dear Grove EMS, we wish to thank the two paramedics, Elliot Belden and Matt Mickelson, that assisted our wife, Mother. She was in a major accident on February 27th. It is our understanding that you need financial help. Enclosed, find a check for $3,000 to be used at your discretion. You provide a great service for our community and others that visited. Also enclosed is a gift for each of the wives of the paramedics. Sincerely, Noelle, Alan, Julie, Andrew Johnson.
Thank you.
Well,
Wow, thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was very generous. Thank you.
And I'm going to leave. You can talk about me behind my back now.
Well, that's no fun.
Oh, it'd be good.
It'd be all
Talking to the
good.
Madison Fire Department. 'Cause
Right.
like I say, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I thought I could go up and buy one of these things until they told me what they
The
cost.
cost.
Yeah, yeah.
And the casino, the Indians are going to be out there crying when I go by now because I give the money to you.
You know, with that kind of donation, you actually have to stay for the whole meeting. Then.
I would like
It only
a
lasts till
receipt.
midnight.
I'll put it in under our association, so then it goes under our 501c3.
That's what, is that the numbers I need for taxes?
Yes, and I will send you a letter. It'll go out in the mail. Well, actually, probably won't go out until mail, till
Don't worry
early
about
next
it.
week.
No, my
That'll
bookkeeper
have
said
it
I should
sent.
ask for that if
Yep.
you had it. If you didn't, that was no big deal.
Yep, I will send you one.
And you
early
will
next
see
week.
them Indians down there crying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And say
Appreciate it.
thank you to the two men I've never met.
Yeah.
So,
Sure will.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both good.
Yeah.
have a good day. Make
Thank
sure
you.
the
Thank you.
wives get that.
I will.
And by the way, their gift certificates for a restaurant. They can't. The restaurant does not allow to use them for tips.
Okay.
So when they get done, they have to tip over and above or whatever. Okay.
Not worried about it with those two wives.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of meeting minutes from previous meetings.
I'll move approval with the notation that they were very good. Appreciate the detail.
I just gave him a black.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of the meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries.
Abstain, yeah.
Abstain.
Yeah, two of them.
Sorry.
Abstains.
Discuss and consider approval of May financial reports.
Run fees are up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hello, Lisa.
Wow, welcome.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Hey, go talk to that guy and tell him you're Matt.
Yeah.
Just go do it.
Do it.
Go do it.
Don't question me, just do it.
Hey, Jerry.
Do as you're told.
Yes, yes. Good evening, Jerry.
Good evening.
Just made Matt go chase him down.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it.
No, apparently him and Elliot were on an accident with his
Wife.
wife.
His wife's
in
mother.
February, and so he came in and gave
Oh.
cards to their wives because they can't accept gifts.
Oh my goodness.
And so when he walked in, that's why I was like, go talk to him because he's
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
He's a
And,
sweetheart.
and then also gave us a donation. Yeah, so
Generous donation.
yes.
So are we done now with accounting fees?
Yes.
the year?
Hopefully, I haven't heard back from Liz at the village if I need to get more books.
Oh.
I'm trying to keep them as electronic.
Yeah.
Oh,
She originally wanted me to send a paper one for a file copy and a paper one for each of the board members, and I was like, okay, it's 2019. If we can forego that, that would be ideal. So hopefully we're done.
Sarah, did you happen to go to?
I went down to, but thankfully
I'm
Chief was
sorry.
leaving. No,
Yeah,
I should have looked
that
at my
happens to almost
calendar.
everybody. They don't realize that we're alternating. He was late one of these meetings because of that same situation.
Much more late than
I
us.
know.
Yeah.
I read the. I was reading, enjoying my post.
I know. We all go through it.
You do. It's
Yes.
like the,
Everyone.
welcoming.
Yes,
what
it's part
you
of
do.
the welcome.
It's part of the welcome. Well, thank you. I feel so.
Now you feel
welcome.
welcome, don't you?
I was lucky to meet
Yes.
Chief coming out. I thought, well, huh.
You just missed me then, because I was
motion to approve the financial report?
The lights were still on.
There's a motion to approve the financial report. Is there a second?
I say,
A motion, a second
I
to
made the
approve
motion.
the May
Greg was
financials.
the
Any
second.
further discussion?
At the May financial.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. And motion carries. Any abstentions this time? Okay, good. I didn't think so. Discuss and consider approval of bills for budgeted approved expenses.
Things are like sitting on the
Now you can join the rest. I know. That's part of the,
That's part of it too.
part of the initiation too.
yeah, I didn't see anything that really picked up on. Make approval of the bills.
Second.
There's a motion, a second for approval of the bills for budgeted approved expenses. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Discuss and consider approval of write-offs and aging accounts.
No write-off?
No write-ups.
It's
Yes.
really looking
Always
His
good.
good.
famous words.
Yes.
We're halfway to where we need to be for the year, and in
With
5
5
months.
months,
Yeah,
yeah.
5 months. So.
Which is good.
But we've been doing a nice job of total slowly
Oh, yeah.
going down. I mean,
Yep.
Well, that over 180 days is
Yeah.
going
Way
down
Yeah.
Yep.
Significantly.
Yep.
yeah.
from January till now.
Yep.
I suspect that'll be cyclical by year though, because the over 180 days ends up in trip and.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Does it clear out at the end of the calendar year?
No.
No.
Nope.
No, so over 180 days is 181 to roughly 6 years.
Well,
With
okay.
any contact can restart the calendar, so.
I didn't know that. Wow.
And it just can sit in.
So we like it when people call to inquire about their account because it restarts the calendar and gives us the opportunity to attempt to collect.
Again.
for the next
Again
6
and
years.
again.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Good to know.
And at 6 years, it just goes to collections, or no? That's when it comes for a write-off.
It would have been in collections throughout that
This whole time.
process. But I think as we discussed last time is our billing company makes money off of collecting money for us, so they want to collect as much as they can.
Looks good.
Motion to approve the aging account?
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve aging accounts. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Staff report.
So we had 92 calls for May, as compared to 122 the year prior. So calls for the month were obviously down a little bit. Relatively equal-ish between units, 6 totally missed calls, and then for the year, our total is roughly 70 less than from the year prior. The big factor we know is that there's been a 50% reduction in overall crashes on I-90, so that's been an overall positive
Blessing.
effect for us.
Yeah.
So that we're able to not
Blessing in
chase down
disguise.
crashes on the interstate and respond to our own calls. Membership overall has remained stable since the last meeting. 14 volunteers, 9 LTEs. Still have and then the 9 full-time.
Oh, I
staff
just
members.
realized Alexa Martin needs to go down to LTE.
Oh, yeah.
Good thing I'll find my own mistakes.
I know one of our LTs we haven't seen a bit of, but he's been doing a lot of military stuff, so we've been able to find coverage for our shifts and haven't had to rely upon me being on the ambulance a terrible long. So we're in the process with the leave of absence EMT volunteer Eric Severson of getting him back in the fold. He's been a little busy with the fire department festival and those activities,
Yes,
so
very.
we haven't pushed too much to reacclimate him, but that'll come. Chief's report. Any questions about the service report? Okay, so Chief's report.
Would it be possible, since we're talking about that with the mutual aid interception, some of these, to do like a comparison to the last year?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so we had like 11 in May. What did we have in May of
Yep.
2018? So we can just kind of see how that's going, because I know you're getting asked about that a lot.
Right.
I can add that.
Yeah, and I hope to add a couple things as comparing with a little bit of a graph so that we can see trends as well.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
I just haven't gotten into that data commingling or collection portion yet. I mean, we collect the data, it's just a matter of putting it into a usable form that you can physically see it, so. All right, Chief's report. Just writing myself a note, I'm sorry. So we participated as part of EMS Week in the Cottage Grove Memory Cafe, which is at Hope Lutheran Church. The group of attendees, they had good questions of us. They were very excited to see us. As part of the what the Memory Cafe is, brings together Alzheimer's and dementia's folks so that they can help their caregiver maybe get a little bit of a respite and also have an activity, because overall some of those folks don't get out and about very often. So as part of their get together for coffee, they also have a monthly presentation. It worked seamlessly for us that the May meeting fell in EMS Week, so it was a good month for us to talk about. Originally they suggested we talk about like fire safety and all those types of things, and we kind of suggested that might be better for Fire Prevention Week in October and have firefighters come out and provide that fire education than us, and they were very receptive to that. So we talked about what EMS can, what we do in the community, what we do for patients on calls, and then some summer-based concerns with heat and medications and those types of things. So they're very excited to see us. Also, while we were there, the dementia-friendly branch of the ADRC at the Dane County presented us with dementia-friendly bags. So if we had someone that we had to interact with, we would have things specific for someone with dementia to a lot like a pediatric bag. So it's activities and ways to help occupy their mind while we might be taking care of them and distract them from maybe their traumatic experience or something like that. So again, EMS Week was May 18th to the 25th. The crews got to enjoy various treats at the local hospitals, the highlight being the slushy machine at Meriter. And then UW at the American Center and Stoughton Hospital actually delivered bags to the station for us to enjoy with various treats and such. The highlight of that being the Twizzlers. As we had a lengthy discussion last meeting about the inter-facility transfer topic, we're still looking into that and exploring ways to go about making that feasible for the service to provide not only to the hospitals, but to make sure that there's no ill effects to the response area when it happens. Ill effects being that we make sure that we provide the services we're charged with providing and ensuring that it's financially responsible. Through checking with the state office, if we decide to go about it, it's still a 60-day process because it's a resubmittal of our operations plan that they then have 60 days to review and
comment
and approve. Or simple ALS transfers are a little easier for us to do because we can say we're doing them and don't have to provide a schedule of how we'll provide them. Whereas the critical care, which is normally the more sick patients that have more medications and more procedures being monitored while we're transporting, that requires us to submit a schedule of how we'll provide those services with it. So part of my thought would be maybe we could initiate it on a temporary part-time basis where, say, during the weekdays, if we got a call, we could offer the service, and we would only then need one extra staff member with me being around during the day. Just being very cautious to not spread us, and particularly me, a little too thin. So the ambulance bay door at station number 1 was damaged by backing into it. It wasn't reported because the staff member didn't know that they actually backed into the door. So the way it happened is the vehicle was pulled out to wash it. The washing was completed, and then vehicle backed into the bay. The staff member heard some odd crunching sound, stopped, went and toured the vehicle and found that there was a soda bottle on the ground that felt that was the cause of the sounds. Looked at the ambulance, didn't notice any damage to it or the door, that jumped out and said, I just backed into something and backed it in and didn't think anything of it. That was on a Sunday on, I think, for whatever reason, Monday it wasn't in service, and maybe was it Tuesday it might have been a Tuesday when I called. Yeah, so it was a Tuesday. I came, normally when I go into the bay it would be through the fishbowl, and you don't notice anything weird about a door when you're that close to it, but from basically walking from the back side of the building to the front, there was a gap underneath the door, and I thought, well, that's really odd. I wonder why the door didn't close all the way down. Well, then I got closer, and you could see that it was bowed subtly, and then I opened it. It went all the way up just fine, but you could see that there was some stuff that wasn't quite right. And then when I went to close it, it actually stopped halfway and bound up, and then I'm like, oh shoot, now I really have to call Chris. And so called Chris. He was able to get overhead door in there to repair the door to get it to close. It's currently functional but not repaired. So we're waiting on the insurance claim has been submitted. It's a liability claim, so there's no deductible to us. That's all in process, and we're just waiting for the estimates back from overhead door. And then after this, we'll everyone that I've spoke to about it, we're sure to emphasize backers and proper backing safety. So we haven't identified any patients for the EMS visitor program as yet. So we haven't identified any for ourselves, and we've also had no referrals. They've requested that we meet monthly, and we're going to try to arrange those monthly meetings around our monthly training session, so that those that are involved don't have to come in an extra time to visit with the Alzheimer's Institute staff.
Can you remind me, what are the referral criteria for the program?
They have to have early onset Alzheimer's, which has no significant or specific diagnosis, but they also have to live alone or effectively at home alone. So meaning that either they do live by themselves, or when they live with somebody, that person doesn't provide them with any care. It's just someone that they live with.
And then they have to be referred to you by Wisconsin Alzheimer's Institute?
Not necessarily.
Anybody
we could
refer.
identify it. We could identify them ourselves. Someone could call us and say, hey, we think we have someone that's eligible for the program. And then the referral would get us into the hopefully into that person to speak with them and do an evaluation to see if they qualify for the program.
Okay. And then it's only folks in our district, right?
Yeah. So it would be village and towns of Deerfield and Cottage Grove and the town of Pleasant Springs. If for some reason something outside of that area would be referred to us, we would then refer to either the Colonial Club or the McFarland Senior Center.
And there has to be some sort of doctor documentation that they have early onset Alzheimer's, or it could just be my suspicion that this person has Alzheimer's?
Yeah, because it's almost impossible to
Right.
assign a diagnosis of Alzheimer's to somebody.
And it can be any form of
That is
dementia, I'm
something.
guessing,
Yeah.
not just Alzheimer's.
Have you asked the Colonial Club if they would have any potential leads from their...
We've been in communication
You
with
have
them,
been.
not only through our training, but outside of it. At the Astor Senior Day, I was also there to meet with those folks, and I've given information to the whole Astor complex and to the Cottage Grove Chamber of Commerce to hopefully help distribute some information and get the word out that this is available to the community.
Okay.
I'm just curious, what happens if you get a late stage Alzheimer's or dementia patient?
Well, they would still
Still
qualify.
qualify, so it doesn't-
But
okay.
what would happen is they would be entered into the program. We would do what little we can and likely advance into getting more definitive services from the Colonial Club or from the McFarland Senior.
Great.
So.
So you would do some sort of assessment and
Yeah,
escalate
Yeah,
as
we
needed.
would wanna know, yeah.
Yeah, they're hoping to use us as kind of the gateway into additional services from the ADRC community throughout the Dane County, so that some people don't know what's available to them and are afraid that if they have a case manager from, say, Colonial Club come out to their house, that immediately the case manager is going to say, "No, you're going into a home," and that's why a lot of folks don't take advantage of those services. So collaborative response with Marshall is the reason why I was late here tonight, because the medical direction for Marshall wanted me to go through a skills checkoff, which I of course obliged and didn't have any problems with. It's just a matter of that skills checkoff. Every time they have it, seems like it always runs over the allotted time. So not only was I there to get my skills signed off, they were short an instructor, so I helped instruct a little bit of it too. So that ultimately ended up me being, I was supposed to be done at 5:30, which then I should have had plenty of time to get here by 6:30, but it was
Worked out for me,
fortuitous.
yeah.
And just as a highlight of calls that I've responded to is on June 6th, Cambridge EMS had a walk-in patient to their station with chest pain that was having an active STEMI, so ST segment elevation MI, so a heart attack. They quickly began transport to the hospital. And while en route to the hospital, roughly in front of the Schuster farm, they had the patient go pulseless. So they requested extra help from an ALS provider. Ambulance medic 80 was already on a call from our response area, which would have been the closest resource to them, but they were already taking care of a person. I happened to hear all of the conversation and was on the phone with the communication center when they said they had a pulseless patient. So I responded down there with Monona medic 60. Of course, as I'm probably half the distance to that scene from Monona, beat them there, and we canceled Medic 60, and myself and Cambridge's crew transported the guy to the cath lab where he's still alive and at home now.
Good.
Only reason we highlight it is a rare occurrence that something like that happens, so it's we see it as something that we would like to maybe be able to do more often, because there's no reason many of our calls need to have a 2 paramedic ambulance on it, and we'd like to make sure that the 2 paramedic ambulances are available for when we need them.
Why would they call Monona when it's in Cottage Grove's area?
Well, because Medic 80 was already on a call.
We didn't have an ambulance.
We didn't have an ambulance available, so the next closest paramedic
How
ambulance
do
was...
they know that? Because like obviously you're sitting in the station.
Right. In that case, the system isn't set up to recognize me as a dispatchable resource.
Yet.
Yeah, that's why, because,
Yeah.
I'm just used to back in the, now I can say good old days. You would still call the jurisdiction and let the jurisdiction say, I don't have anything available, respond, because, obviously you were available. So I'm just curious as to how that works.
And I think maybe we could look to build that towards the future, when the car with a paramedic is available to be able to be dispatched in that case. But everything is kind of embroiled in, are you a 2 paramedic ambulance or a 1 paramedic ambulance? Well, I'm not an ambulance at all. So, but they know based off of, because when we have a vehicle in service, we make sure that the vehicle that is out of service in the CAD, so that when they look for what resources are available, the CAD automatically can predict to them who is available and how long it's going to take them to get there from their location.
So if we have both units staffed, they see that both
Yeah,
units
if-
are staffed.
if we had both units staffed, then it would have grabbed Medic 78
Okay.
and sent Medic 78.
Yeah, I'm just, for my knowledge.
Yeah, and along the same lines, if probably if Stoughton was paramedics, Stoughton would have been closer than Monona.
Yeah.
And how frequently do we staff both ambulances at the same time?
That's on the back of your,
Oh, yeah, I think
we talked about this, I think, last time.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's probably asked the same question.
Whenever we can.
whenever we can, yes.
Yeah.
And it varies
This
by
is
month.
that. Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah, so I was gonna say roughly. It doesn't look like it on here, but getting close-ish to an eighth of the time. Ish. But if we identify that we have events going on, like festivals,
Yep.
then that's an opportunity for us to say, well, likely because of a large influx of people, we're going to be busy, so we do put both ambulances on duty those nights.
And we have in the past talked about doing it more, Sarah, and tried to figure out when, you know, and what you're saying is, that sounds like a logical time. And then we have a month, like this last month, when we're down, and it's like,
Right.
what do we
You
do?
just can't predict
Yeah.
it.
No.
You can't. So it's one of those juggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing
Yeah.
predictable is
You
the
may know.
unpredictability.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Smile and move on.
All right, training. And I think like I did in last month and the month prior, if you guys have any questions about these, shout out and I'll give answers. But otherwise, the rest of the staff does a pretty good job of writing their own report.
Can you, what is Cottage Grove Courts, August 3rd?
Just gonna ask that too.
That's exactly what it says, Cottage Grove Court. So most of the time it's
Take
juveniles.
CPR.
Yeah, they come into the system for some sort of low-level
Oh,
offense.
okay.
And they, instead of
Instead of a
having to pay a fine or whatever, they can take this
Part of
class.
the peer
and-
court
Yeah, peer
process.
court.
Okay, yeah.
That's great.
The thought being that it kind of helps to maybe instill a different mindset or a community service part of it.
That's a wonderful idea. I think I knew that. I had forgotten. I'm sorry.
It's okay, you're allowed.
And I guess for the PR events we've had since our last meeting, both festivals, and for us, I thought they, unless someone would disagree, they were well run and went fine for us.
Yeah.
Had runs both days that we provided additional staff. In fact, Fort Cottage Grove had our 2 bike team members ride the half marathon, so
Nice.
and they got medals for it even.
You have the rugby tournament this weekend.
Yes, and as a highlight of that, we thought it would be I try to be an outside the box thinker because we can think inside the box and rinse, wash, and repeat ourselves to eternity. But based off of the first rugby experience we had, they had one of the injuries that were pretty far away from them. This event is going to not only involve the 2 rugby fields, but also the soccer fields that are in Bakken Park there, which is a significant amount of distance away. And I don't know that we want to drive an ambulance on any of that stuff. Because, the tow bill would be pretty decent. I don't think we want to incur it. So the thinking outside the box part was, during the races, we utilized Deerfield Fire Department's UTV to cover the Glacial Drumlin Trail on the east end. Well, I thought, what if we got a golf cart? If I was hoping that rugby had a golf cart that they could just say, here, use this, but they don't. So then I went to the farm and Door Creek to see if they might be able to loan us a golf cart for the day, expecting the answer that I got, of that normally we might, but on weekends we're so busy that we don't even have enough carts to meet our own need, so we can't send one off site. Luckily, I have contacts at the Oaks, and they have one for us, and we'll be picking that up tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Good.
Another thought might be Yahara Hills, because, you know, they're close by, and what I'm hearing, they don't have a lot of golfers. So,
Yeah, what I thought of with the first two was that literally we could drive them to the
Right.
rugby field,
Yeah.
whereas from
Exactly.
the Oaks, I mean, we probably could drive one from there.
That'd be a long drive, though.
yeah,
I mean, those types of driving normally aren't done in uniform or sober, so.
Good information. Thank you. I made a note on that for your review.
I don't drink in uniform. That's what
Awesome.
all right, vehicles. We had 80, I believe 80 went in for service. Otherwise, everything else is running seemingly fine, including 81. No problems with any of that. It does what it's supposed to. We're going to be, speaking of 80, we're going to be working with somebody to get the air horns fixed. We just have to figure out who.
Get the what fixed?
Air horns, they have,
Well,
so the air horns were outside of the factory installed, so we just have to figure out if we're gonna go with whom installed them. That might not be the best of ideas, or who else might service them. So it's just a matter of finding the right source to have the service on that.
Correspondence?
We have correspondence. So this first one is from the Memory Cafe. This is mine, and I didn't include everyone else's because it was all relatively the same message. So all of us that were there, the Memory Cafe gave us all a card. So myself, Ross, Seth, Elliot, and Samantha Fedorowicz. And here we'll go both ways. We'll confuse things.
That one is from a patient we had that passed away here in Deerfield on Memorial Day. That was, we've gotten two different donations from family members now. This one sent a card with it.
The writing's a little bigger on this one for you, Chris. So the big card coming around is in, was it late April? Or was it May? Anyway, we had a peer event with the fire department at Learning Ladder that we went to and showed them the ambulance, or tried to. There was a big fire truck with a ladder sticking out the top of it and whatnot that distracted everyone from learning about ambulances. So.
oh yeah.
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, the other one was just like a, from Slady's family.
A lot of hands.
This one had a really nice letter.
You're trying to fingerprint.
Sorting early.
Yeah, the other one.
Getting in the system.
Oh. Oh. Cute.
Is one of these yours, Chris?
The second one to the last.
He chose the one with all the fingers, right?
And he cuts wood, so.
Yeah.
Discuss and consider Chief's 6 months performance review.
See how good he does driving that golf cart.
Little secret, I have no intent on driving it, so it should be awesome.
It's the same one that was used in the past. I just did print out the same one.
So the plan is, we'll fill these out, get them back to you.
Yes.
And then you'll put all the
We-
numbers and,
Put it all together and bring it to the next meeting.
Okay.
You guys just need to decide when they are due to me and when I can start hunting people down.
So you have time to collate everything.
Correct.
Before our July meeting. Right.
So that's what we really need to decide is when those are due to me.
My calendar.
so really all we're doing is this side of it, isn't it? I mean, the other side is, do people want you working with them? That's more of
Yeah,
a,
it's-
It's more him, yeah.
yeah,
But if there's anything, you know, and to be prepared with
yeah, okay.
what's gonna come. If there's anything additional, again, just hand it to me and I'll,
Yeah, okay.
again, put it all together if you have, notes outside of just the grid.
Yep,
It doesn't have to be like contained just to that. That's just
yeah,
the starting.
okay.
So can you just talk me through what the process has been, so other
Chris?
members?
I wasn't quite here yet for this part last year.
So then, Chief, as you know, we'll do the review, the next meeting, and then if there's the 6-month raise, it's effective on August 1st, right? Yeah.
So who fills these out?
We do.
We do.
We do.
We fill this, yes, and we get
The
it to
backside
Mandy.
is the commissions.
We fill this part, and but this side, the members.
No, he'll
No.
do.
He'll do that.
He'll do
Yep.
one.
It's not the best form. Like I said, I
No.
just printed what we've used in the past, and if we want to change it going forward, we absolutely can. I just,
So do we get feedback from the?
Whoever you talk to.
yep.
Oh, I see. Our mission is to go out and talk to as many people as we can, and get info.
Mhm.
So to make sure I know my assignment, because
Yep.
I want to get an A.
And
We don't
I want you to get an A
grade,
too.
we don't
Maybe you
grade you
don't.
on it, we grade him on it.
Yeah.
well, and it's hard because you're new, so you really
Yeah.
don't know.
Right.
you
Well,
know.
exactly. That's why I
Yeah.
have to ask others who
Yeah.
know. Okay.
Yeah, and usually the one that knows the best is the chair at that time, because he's the one that's
Has more
pretty much in
interaction with
contact with
Yeah.
them. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll call you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So our next meeting's the 18th, so how much time do you want ahead of that?
At least a week.
Yeah.
So how about the 8th? Meeting's the 18th, if we have them to
Yeah.
on Monday, the 8th?
That'd be great.
That'd give you a week and a half then to.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Well, yeah, and something tells me I won't see them all by Monday the 8th, so I need time to track people down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll have them back to Mandy by July 8th then.
So not knowing the process in the past, has this form been sent to membership to be returned in the past?
No.
Yeah, that's what I guess I was trying to figure out.
That's kind of what they were talking about is,
Commission.
you know, I know
Yeah,
other,
there's-
in past years, commission members have talked to other staff members and
Staff
stuff.
Yeah.
volunteers.
And how would we go about doing that? Just stop in at the station?
Mhm.
Yeah, really? I was just
Or
kidding.
anybody
I
you
don't
want.
know.
Yeah.
You can do whatever. Okay.
However
If you wanted
want
to
to feed
find,
them.
if you wanted a big swing of members, we'll have a big group at the station on Monday,
Monday.
For training.
on the 24th.
I would maybe suggest though that we kind of talk to Lisa about that. I'm a little uncomfortable with that situation for various reasons.
What's that?
Feedback?
Oh,
No, I'm just trying to think as I talk here. You know, the personnel decisions and legalities and stuff, gotta be a little careful with that.
getting everybody involved. Yeah.
And comments that are made that, so, I mean, you know, what do you think, Lisa? You know, you're the deputy, all that.
Like, maybe me providing a recommendation of folks?
Well, or, you know, I just kind of, I mean, I've never, quite frankly, I've never, in my entire career, I've never seen it done that way. My bosses, evaluate me.
Sure, but I think it's probably just a small snippet of your decision making.
Yeah.
You guys get to decide how you value that. Would be my opinion.
Staff volunteers can tell us if they.
I mean, you're gonna hear
work
about,
well.
and in the past,
Yeah.
we've had pretty good communications
Yeah.
when
Yep.
there's been issues without having to go and seek, because sometimes people then get, well, I gotta say something, what should I say,
Yeah, yeah.
you get into that, and then if you got like 6 of us, Jerry, what do you think? And then 2 days,
I wouldn't ask him.
I agree with that. I just know I can pick on Jerry. So
Yeah.
let's just say it's our job to
Right.
and like you say, of course, the commission chair always has the closest working relationship, but like you say, we've been pretty open with our communications with the staff all along. So
Yeah.
if there's what I'm saying is I'm not looking for problems.
You had that
No.
chance that if there was somebody that he had to reprimand a day or two before, then all of a sudden you talk to that person, the person might be a little upset yet and say something bad just to, be mean,
If you could give us the names of everyone you've had to discipline
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
that would be most
I
helpful.
don't
Yeah.
think
And
it's
phone
been
numbers.
any.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I guess to Gary's point, I'm not afraid of what everyone
people
has to
say.
say anyway. That's why I suggested it. In
It's a
fact,
good way to improve and help,
They,
too.
they might give you suggestions that they might not be willing to give to me in person. But how do I know those things unless someone asks?
Yeah.
And I can ask one blue in the face, and if there's no suggestions to me in person, how do I know those things unless someone else asks?
Yeah.
And the only thing I was suggesting was maybe distribute it, and you get back what you get back. You don't hound people for it.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to doing 360 reviews where we get feedback from people who report to, work with, and supervise that person to get a well-rounded perspective.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that any of the staff, their review would predict my I mean, it could predict my success. If they're not happy, then that means we're not a cohesive organization, and I'm obviously doing something wrong. And without asking the question, you might never know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I think this works when things are good.
Yeah.
Things are going well.
Yep.
But if things maybe aren't, or you, just like you referred to, you get
Yep.
a couple people got an axe to grind and how they can influence other people's opinions and,
But through the process, you're able to also filter that out. in your
Yeah.
own-
I'm just having
Yeah.
been through the gamut
And even then,
of all
if
personnel matters,
Yeah. If
good
some-
and bad in my career.
somebody does that, then we could bring it to your attention and you could,
Yeah.
tell us.
I'd say,
what
but
it is,
if like many things, if you go with the opinion of why change it because we might hear this thing, these might be things in the future you want to hear. If you don't start now, when would be the good time to start?
Well, that's true. And you want to be a complete team, so it must involve everybody.
We'll get them to you by the 8th.
And I'm happy to send it out to the membership too, if you guys want me to. I mean, Eric, if you want me to, I'm happy to send it out and they can send it back to me. They can leave it anonymously in my door, whatever. It's kind of,
To me, I think it has value, and yet we would have to weigh that differently than what ours
agreed.
would be.
Yeah.
for sure.
But
But you could at least have one that's commingled, and this is what the staff one looks like, and then have your own, and you'd at least know from the staff angle that, if hopefully that they would match up with how you grade me.
I would like to ask the staff whether or not it's part of our decision or just as an informational
That you
piece.
just put it out to the staff that if anybody wants to fill it out, they can stop by and pick one out and fill it out.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to,
and
Say who you
if they
are.
don't want to fill one out, they don't have to. fill it out.
exactly,
Yeah,
but like somebody mentioned, like, I'm not gonna chase any staff member down.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
They
If
do
they
it,
want
they
to
do
fill
it.
it out, they
Yeah.
can fill it out when
Yeah.
they're on call.
I'm also looking back at some of the past, I don't want to talk now because we're not in closed session, but some of the past issues we had with chiefs that were,
Yeah.
personality
Mm-hmm.
conflicts or personality favoritism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the consensus?
Go about it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask who you want to ask.
Mhm.
Weigh it how you want to weigh it. And
And get it to
You know,
Manny.
I do think that in
Yeah.
the past, if there's been issues, that we've heard about it as a commission.
Oh, yeah.
Without,
right.
Yeah, you've
Without,
heard about it
you
by
know.
now. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Jerry's afraid to talk, but I know Lisa's very voiceful.
Yeah.
Voiceless about it, so.
So you
Mhm.
won't have it open for staff? What we just talked about, that's not your recommendation?
Right. We can talk to them
But,
Okay,
yeah, but not him.
Individual.
and
all right.
just
All right.
then you weigh your how you felt their response was, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Discuss and consider general intercept agreement.
So the reason this is here is largely because I just want to know how aggressive you would prefer me to be with getting intercept agreements. The Dane County services aren't a problem. This agreement that you have, this one here,
Waterloo.
Waterloo.
the Waterloo and Lake Mills. This is so the ones that look like this that have my name on the back of it. This is the current agreement that was made by Dane County. And what this agreement specifically is for when they call us and we provide paramedic services on patients that have a CMS payer, so Medicare or Medicaid. That only that agency that transports can send the bill, so that there's only one bill to the insurance company. For all the other cases, the requesting agency will send a bill to the insurance company, as will we. So this is a case where, because of rules by largely Medicare, we need to have an agreement with them that says how that we will get reimbursement from the agency. So this agreement is set that when it's a CMS patient, we will expect reimbursement from the requesting agency at 2/3 of ALS2. And that number is roughly $350 right now. ALS2 is roughly $640. We would take 2/3 of that. And then that's all we would send them a bill for. Whatever they collect, they get to keep. So if they collect somehow miraculously $1 million from Medicare, they would get to keep almost all of it. They're not going to collect $1 million, and if they do, we'd want to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So the current agreement that we have, we don't have a current agreement with Lake Mills. So that's one that we don't have an agreement with yet, and we need to have one, whether it is what it is.
I think they'd both be good because, I mean, you'd intercept right out at 94.
Yeah.
Right.
Both, or both
And
of
they
them.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's,
So the agreement made in Dane County was made in keeping in mind the ALS and the BLS services, so that in those instances, really no one makes money. Everyone's gonna lose money. It's just a matter of, this is a method to limit the amount that each side loses. The current agreement in place, which is the other piece of paper that's signed from 2013 with Waterloo, states that they will pay us 50% of the funds they receive. What that relies upon is them effectively billing and collecting for that patient that we help them transport. It's an undefined number. It's nothing that we can control. Literally, if they don't get any reimbursement, nor do we.
We don't. Yeah.
So the response back from, it's no longer Chief Butzine in Waterloo, it is now Chief Benish, is that if we were to pay you $300, we might lose money. And where I go with this is, we're providing them a service that they can't provide for themselves. And if they didn't want us to provide the service, they could go to the next agency, which is going to give them the same agreement. They can go to City of Madison, whose agreement is a flat $1,000, last I knew. Or they can not call us at all, or they can provide the services for themselves.
Yeah.
So as I've thought about this a lot, it says agreement on here, but really it's just us providing them with something and they agree with the only thing we provided. So my thought would be is that we will edit this just minorly to say, we are offering you this thing as it stands at 2/3 of ALS2 or $1,000, which would you prefer? And we will bill you directly for the $1,000 for CMS patients, or you can take this. And then the third option would be don't call us.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that many a terrible amount of calls.
No.
But still, this is something that when they call for us as intercepts, they're taking away from our primary response area.
Right.
So
We're not available for our people.
You know, the other thing is this goes back, this has been an age-old discussion in other states, many years, that our citizens in our service area decided many years ago to pay the extra taxes and stuff to provide paramedic ALS service.
right.
Some of these other communities
Didn't.
have not.
Yeah.
Right.
I know in one case where they tried doing this where when they had it on 2 referendums, not in Wisconsin, but in another state from when I did the consulting work, taxpayers turned it down. Yet they were still calling that other jurisdiction to come and give them your taxpayers in your community said, you're not going to pay for paramedics. They don't, and then that was the chief in that other community's exact thing is, I am then taking an ambulance out of service where my taxpayers are paying for it. So,
Right.
you know, so I just, that's kind of the overall philosophy behind it. Not that we're not going to help, and life safety pretty much at times trumps all, but if they start out, well, are we being cold or cruel in, you know, charging a fee or whatever? I'm sure that's why, well, I shouldn't say sure, but the bigger agencies a lot of times will have those fees because they put a lot of money out for full-time police,
Yep.
fire, rescue services, and then sometimes the smaller, you know, communities go, well,
Leech off of
well,
them.
you know, city number 8, Class A city has got all this, we can just call them for their ladder truck. We don't have to buy a ladder truck. Well, then
Yeah.
Class A city loses their ladder truck if they have a fire, you know, that their taxpayers paid for. So that's a little bit of the philosophy behind this that has to be maybe sometimes reinforced, that we're not trying to be the mean guys, but we're trying to be
Protect our
responsible
own.
to our taxpayers. And like you say, if we take an ambulance out of service for them, then we're delaying and someone has a heart attack in our district. So,
Yep.
Well, mutual aid, longer response, and
Right.
Yeah, and it's a topic of just discussion, just to make sure that you knew that this was occurring and that you were fine with exactly the way we discussed it.
Yep.
So that you didn't hear through the woodwork of some other board member or trustee from other communities that, oh, the big bad EMS chief from Deer Grove was making us pay $5 more for
yeah.
something we can't provide ourselves.
And when I seen that going up to 60%, I like that. It's about time.
The argument from everyone, it's been pretty consistent, and it might just be a Jefferson County thing because obviously Waterloo and Lake Mills are both Jefferson County, but we'd really like that number to be 50%.
Yeah. Yeah.
My argument in return was, if you're billing effectively, you should get reimbursed more than that, and you should be getting like 60 or 70% on your end compared to what
That
we
extra
got.
Yeah.
10% is going towards the higher, you want quality or higher skills.
Higher level of
Yeah,
service.
higher
Yeah.
level of service. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
And the
should
commitment
pay
that
more. 75% would be more like it even.
Yeah, and the commitment that our community in the Deer Grove area decided to make that they haven't yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever have to rely on Intercept to cover us if we don't have a ambulance? In this case, do we have agreements with
We always
Madison?
Mutual
we,
aid.
we do have. I know we have a couple agreements still. There might be a time where we might have a BLS ambulance, but overall, we're almost always going to have a paramedic on our ambulance.
Okay.
So the agreements are there just in case, in the off chance that we happen to get in a large scale incident 2 members together that are BLS and we needed a paramedic, but it's not very likely to happen.
And so this is Intercept versus Mutual Aid.
Yeah.
Correct.
Can you just walk me through so
Okay.
I make sure I understand?
So to start off, mutual aid is when we go to someone else's response area because they don't have they don't have enough resources with an ambulance to cover a call. So if, like our combined agreement with Marshall, if Marshall goes on one call, that's exhausted the resources that they have in their community. So when they have another call into Marshall's response area, we would get requested as mutual aid. So we're providing them a resource that if they had it, they would be able to provide it for themselves, but they didn't have it at that time. An intercept is that either by auto sending, which is the call code at the communication center got a certain level of the level of the patient was put into a category that said this one statistically needs a paramedic, so that the local agency will respond along with paramedics. So that's one type of intercept, an auto sent intercept. The other one is where, again, to go back to Marshall, their crew gets on scene, they determine that the patient is really sick and could benefit from having a paramedic with them while transporting. They request us. So that's the other form of intercept. So basically their crew is transporting the patient, we respond with them to augment their crew to provide paramedic level care. Whereas with the mutual aid, we're going there to be the ambulance because they didn't have one.
And then we would bill for it, so the
We would
money
we
is
would-
ours, so that's
Yep.
not the concern.
Correct.
Versus intercept, they're billing for it. We want to recoup some of our cost.
Correct. And this agreement, again, is specifically for Medicare and Medicaid because they only allow the transporting ambulance to send the primary bill or the bill at all. They don't allow dual billing. So if we go on an intercept with, again, Marshall and the person has Blue Cross Blue Shield, we both send a bill to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Blue Cross Blue Shield theoretically would pay both of us.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the general intercept agreement.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second to approve the general intercept agreement. Any further discussion?
I'll add one thing to further discussion. Is I think it'd be best practice that we review these with each of the services annually, so that when we get the numbers from Medicare, we say that this is going to be your fee for the year.
Yep.
So that we'll
Good idea.
move forward.
And
with-
it's not being abused.
Yep.
Right.
And is the motion for Lake Mills and Waterloo? Or just the general agreement?
Just for the
This is what
general
we'll use?
agreement.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to be able to forecast the future and predict everyone that's going to call us and have the agreement in place prior to them calling for us, because it makes the billing portion of it easier. Unfortunately, I don't know that that's possible, so we might have some that are, because we're along two major interstate corridors, we could literally assist anybody. So,
Could I get the lottery numbers from you when we're done?
Do you
Sounds
know, one other question, do you know, is this comparable to what like Fitrona or Middleton does?
this is the Dane County agreement.
Yeah. So we are,
And basically what I'm attempting to tackle Waterloo with a joint effort with Sun Prairie. Because I know that Sun Prairie's agreement with Waterloo is this one. Because in 17, when I was interim chief there, this is the agreement we had. And I knew from talking to Chief Butzine as I lived there, had no interest in changing this agreement. So I was an interim chief and I had no want nor will to fight that. So knowing that this is still the same agreement that Sun Prairie has, hopefully Sun Prairie's chief and I will say that this is our agreement and this is the agreement you'll get from both of us. So if you call for intercept from Dane County, this is going to be the agreement. You can either take it or the other. The other options are like we talked about. I like we'll bill you $1,000. I mean, we could certainly say we'll send a full bill to your resident that you requested. That's a little bit more cutthroat because then that person becomes responsible for it, and we're going to hear about sending that person a second bill probably before Waterloo or Lake Mills or whomever would. The hope would be that we can bring some logic to the situation, and I just wanted to know that as I attempt to use skill, wit, and logic, and sarcasm occasionally, that you guys were going to be behind the opinion. So,
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Discuss and consider Waterloo Lake Mills intercept agreements. We've done them all, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve Waterloo and Lake Mills intercept agreements. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Agenda items for next meeting. We've got the chief's review.
Will there be in closed session?
Yep.
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 Financials, but bills, write-offs.
Yeah, the standard stuff, yeah.
Standard stuff.
1 through 8 pretty much is.
Yep. Got 1 through 8.
An update on the Stoughton, what's happening.
That can, I guess, stay standard if you want that to be an agenda item.
Just curiosity.
Yeah.
It'll be the
The final paperwork in the
July
packet.
25th?
18th.
18th, that's right, yeah, third week, yeah.
Better be the 18th. I'm not gonna do anything with it.
So the final.
In Cottage Grove.
Yep.
The final piece of information in the packet is a annual report that was generated for us from LifeQuest, our billing agency. And that happens to have a lot of the questions that we talked through at the last meeting. I was looking for some other information in our customer portal that LifeQuest provides to us, and I'm like, hey, there's a lot of reports here, and holy smokes, this one answers all the questions that we were asked last time, so I figured might as well run it and let you guys see the information.
This here report, I think would be a better report to go to the board members than this one.
Yeah.
Because this shows the board how busy you guys are.
Yeah.
Shows board members how busy you guys are and what it
Not a
takes
bunch of
financially.
technical
Give
language.
them this page when you get into
And
the
just,
new budget.
one,
Yeah.
one question I have on it is, does LifeQuest have any sort of comparable data to show paramedic units of similar size and what their stats are, so we have a sense of if we're within normal ranges?
Not that we could run ourselves, but we can certainly ask them. Some of that likely would get caught up in the other agency allowing us to have access to their information.
Right.
So,
Like a best practice?
we
or
can ask.
maybe-
We're able to get comparables for
Charges.
Charges.
for
Yeah.
rates. So I would likely think that that's because if we're collecting a certain percentage more than other agencies, they'd likely want to know how we're doing it. So we would want to share Lisa's secrets with them.
No, we would bill her time to them.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be something, right?
That expertise?
I did have a question. Maybe
Sure.
I just couldn't understand. Page 2, collection rates under private, it has attorneys, and the next one is collections. Charges, 12,625. Cash credits, 39,000. It just seemed.
In general,
cash
what is
credits.
that, what does that column mean?
Yeah, I'm lost. Can you clarify?
Is that the
What is that?
39,000? Seems it hits a number in the book is uncollectible run fees.
Where are they adjusted?
That's 31,000. I guess overdue run fees.
It's outside the parameters of the report,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
isn't it?
So is some of that funding from the prior year that landed in that calendar year?
That's,
Yeah. So
I mean, that's
this
how I
necessarily
would
wouldn't
read
be
that.
anything that was. It's all not about when it was billed. It's about when it was collected.
Collected, right.
Okay.
When we start looking
Okay.
at.
the 6 years.
So we had.
Thank you.
What was it,
Charlie. That makes
February, where
sense.
we had a lower reimbursement month, or maybe it was January, but because of the lag of holidays and whatnot, that we saw an increase in reimbursement into February or March, whatever it was, because of all the factors associated with. But I can definitely ask about that, whether it be, because that maybe could be someone mailing in checks once it gets to collections, and that could be at the collection agency where they're, maybe the collection agency is able to take charge cards, and that could be what it is.
Thank you. Just didn't quite make sense to me.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn, non-debatable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, the meeting is adjourned.